But are you on? Yeah, take the questions.
I don't.
Okay. I think we got most people back here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you just can't see me.
Yeah.
That's just as well.
Okay. So yeah, the real property thing is going to be a lot of fun, and the asset limit isn't quite as much of an issue, but it does kind of come into play a little bit with people that have houses. I don't know if there's a lot of people at your buildings that have their homes still. Generally, kind of getting their name off of it is one way to avoid it a little bit, but it could also be considered a disposal in that case, by basically just giving the property away to the other person that's there. That's something that I'll have to get a little bit more clarification on as well, but primarily, I guess we will just need to take the real property stuff kind of on a case by case basis as it comes along.
So if they have over $100,000, what is the?
They have over $100,000 in assets in 2024, then they are no longer eligible for Section 8. But with both of these, they will get a 6-month delay in that termination. So they will essentially have 6 months to cure that ineligibility, either moving their income or moving their assets to a retirement account or something along those lines to get their assets in line, or selling their house, whatever that case may be. I will have this self-certification for the real property exemption form in the system before too long here, and then they'll just basically need to complete that every year if they meet one of the exemptions, so that we don't count them, we don't disqualify them based on having a house. You still need to do your regular verification of the value of the house if it's year 1. If it's year 2 and 3, you can streamline it as long as it's like a smaller kind of thing. Their assets still have to total under 50,000. So maybe if it's like a mobile home or something, but if they don't, if they have an actual home that's probably got some value to it this day and age, then you're probably not streamlining their assets because of that stuff, which is part of what this form, or this part of the form, will capture. If they put yes into one of these, then and the value is over a certain amount, then they're over the top. They're not eligible for the streamlining, and you would just do your regular full verification and stick this in the file with it, and just kind of consider that, or go back to trying to do year 2 in the following year.
Hey, Brian, I'm sorry for jumping around, but on this form, you've got year 1 traditional verification, 2, and then 2 and 3 self. But when we start using, I mean, for this form right here, wouldn't everybody that we're going to be recertifying using this form starting in 2024 be, because you said we can start with year 2?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're going to be year 2. So we're not going to check year 1 for anyone unless they're a move-in, an IC, or unless, what if something drastically change, cause you to go back to year 1?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so all of these, for the most part, when we start using this, we're going to check year 2.
Yeah.
If they're annual research.
Yeah, all of your annual research starting in 2024, you're going to be checking year 2 there, as long as they're eligible for it. You know,
Now,
they
what
have
if-
assets that are over the $50,000 and they're not eligible for it. So you would do the no over there and then
Yeah.
just kind of not do any of those years. It would technically be, I guess, year one, but you would do no when you're doing your regular full verification.
Brian, I have a question.
Mhm.
These apply for RD as well or not?
No, not at this time. It's only a HUD thing. As far as the RD stuff, a lot of the HOTMA stuff does tie in for sure, because RD uses HUD figures for calculating stuff and determining what things are considered income and what's considered assets and such. They do differ a little bit on medical expense things, like what can be deducted, but there really hasn't been any sort of notice from rural development about what's they're intending to happen in January at all. I've done a couple trainings with rural development centric groups that have kind of gone over the parts that will be impacted, but until I mean, I don't know if the RD handbook references something in HUD's regulations and HUD's regulations change, then we have to go on ahead and do it that way. But I don't know if one site's going to update those figures. I don't know if that can be updated, like the 525 medical deduction, like that's hard written onto the 3560 form. So until that form actually gets updated, there's no way to even do that stuff. But again, with a lot of this stuff, as long as we're putting the information into the system correctly, at some point when we do flip these switches and the system does those corrections, it should make everything right. Well, now that I say that, we don't, with rural development, you don't do retroactive correction kind of stuff like that. Well, bottom line is you can't streamline with rural development. You still got to just do the full traditional verifications. And more information will come once I get that stuff, and hopefully it won't be too long.
Okay.
Brian, I want to ask another question.
Yeah.
With all the ARs next year, starting it being the second year, but what if they come in here and they have a different type of income, or they have a different bank account? Let's just say they went from, one credit union to the next credit union.
Okay.
Then,
Yeah, that's a good question. That kind of stuff doesn't really matter unless it's something that they get a new account and it puts them over that $50,000 threshold. Then of course it's breaking the whole streamlining thing anyway. They just need to put their proper stuff, and you don't need to give verification that checking account B was closed over here at Bank of America, and the whatever amount for their new bank. You just get what they say as their amount for the new account, whatever they are, and you go with that. No additional verification is needed, or you don't need to do any additional stuff with it.
so when you
Now,
streamline, do you use the information that they're putting on their questionnaire, or do you just use the amount from the previous year?
when you're streamlining assets, you're using what they put on this self-certification form.
As long as it doesn't go over the $50,000 limit, there's not a whole lot to worry about.
Yeah, correct.
Even if they have 3 banks, where last year they had 1, if they're under 50, you just take what they say they have.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The only thing that might change that, like if they move a new person into the household or something along those lines, then that would make you have to kind of go back to year one, because you don't have the whole idea is that you have a like that year one full traditional verification as kind of like the real detailed verification of everything. And if somebody new moves into the unit, then you don't really have that full verification of any of their stuff. So that kind of breaks the cycle. But changing accounts here and there, that's really not a big deal. I mean, if you notice something that's different on there, you can of course ask them about it or what happened, and then that's really it. I mean, there really isn't even anything you have to document on that, just that, you know, yes, did you close this account? Because I noticed you have this one over here, but I don't even know if the form asks about the source.
Doesn't look like it.
No, it's just
Just has the
the
owner.
type. Yeah, the person who belongs to the account, and then you know what type of account it is. So yeah, the bank 1 to bank 2 is really not a important factor there. Oops. Do you have any questions about the way I have the procedures laid out here? I tried to explain the actual terminology at first, and then walk you through the things that you need here. Should be relatively easy to kind of go through, but of course I'll be here if you guys need to ask me anything or whatever. But some of you have already gone through through this for some of your research, and it seems to be working quite well. I would also like to see a little bit more use of that new one site, because I think that's where a lot of these updates are going to be started, you know, once they switch into the new version of tracks and all that. It definitely seems to work a little bit better as far as bugs and things like that. Since the old one site is on that older technology, it generally runs into ledger problems a lot more frequently. But I can do, or I'm planning on doing another meeting here down the line to kind of walk through those basic bits of the new one site, because I know that's a little bit intimidating for some of your longtime persons. They're used to your older one site. But anyway, are there any other questions here? I don't want to keep you guys any longer and start dozing off or anything. All good?
Good,
Okay.
Fred.
All right, well, thank you. I will have this recorded as well, and then I'll share the YouTube link for this as well as the Hotma stuff from last month out to the same email thread. Have a nice lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep, bye.